Hello, my name is Jorge Castilleja. So let me answer the questions for the video interview. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the conflict with a coworker. So recently there was an assistant principal for ELA who was initiating a collaborative project between sixth grade social studies teachers and sixth grade reading teachers. However, there was no input from the social studies teachers because the opportunity was not given to them. So there was a meeting held delivering the actual proposition and the project itself, and the sixth grade social studies teachers were caught off guard. So social studies teacher at that point had a plan for the remainder of the semester that is now being forced to change without communicating with them. So the assistant principal in this meeting and we had a few questions for each other. It seemed like we weren't on the same page. So the assistant principal insisted in that we will be implementing the plan regardless of my input or the input from the rest of the teachers. So my approach to try and resolve the situation was first of all to schedule a conference with that assistant principal, and that conference was mainly to address my concerns with communication between the assistant principal and I. And the goal of the conversation was also to reach a consensus as far as the vision, what the vision was for this collaborative project. And we also wanted the teachers to meet and discuss what role each department had and what plans would be created by the teachers to address the student learning. So I did try during the actual conference itself. I did try to refrain myself from using vocabulary that would instigate conflict. Rather, I focus on the outcome, which was a shared vision and communication between the principals and the teachers. So what influenced me to approach it in this way? Well, I am the social studies supervisor, assistant principal, so I wanted to value the work that my teachers put into the plan for the rest of the semester. I also wanted to maximize on teacher buy-in so that there were greater chances of student success with the new initiative. So finally, I wanted to prevent any division or animosity between the departments, which was kind of something that did come up after the first meeting with the teachers. So there was a little division happening. So I wanted to prevent that and react to it before it got really out of hand. So I wanted to promote collaboration, and that would also help with the goal and with the entire project in itself. So the outcome was that the assistant principal and I, of course, met, but then we also met with the teachers that were part of the project to deliver the shared vision that we had. So it seemed that we were on the same page. So now they had a clearer vision as to what the mission of the project was. So teachers were enthusiastic to work together because their role now in this project was clear, and they can also see how this project itself, this collaborative project, would impact student learning for their students in class. So the teacher buy-in was great after that. So we saved the project, the collaborative project in that sense. So after reading, to answer the second question, after reading the Teach for America's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, there were a lot of things that I agree with, of course, with the diversity and equity and inclusion of students and teachers and society in general. But one of the things that stood out to me was classism. That's something that we still notice even within our region. Region is low socioeconomic status, and our school district has students in the lower poverty level. And in this region in the United States, we're considered in the last place as far as socioeconomic status is concerned. But classism is very much alive, and it's relevant in our region. So within our campus, within our campus itself, we have such a diverse group of students regarding socioeconomic background. So there are students that are immigrants from Mexico or Central America that have limited financial means and that their parents have never been to a university or have no formal education. And there are other students that come from affluent families, so they have more money, a better financial status here in the United States. So within our campus, there is a clear division of classes. So students with limited funds tend to walk through the shadows. They're a little more silent. They don't participate as much in extracurricular activities. They miss out on opportunities that are presented in our campus, while those that are in a better socioeconomic status, they tend to take the spotlight. So they'll be the ones participating in our student council and in extracurricular activities, athletics, So they're the ones that are usually standing out more than the other students. So so I wonder, as I was thinking and reflecting about our campus, I wonder what the future would look like if we work to fight this division within our students. So would that translate to the vanishing of classism in our region? If we address multiculturalism, if we address diversity, classism in within our culture, within our social studies classes, probably, would that later translate into students or people whenever they graduate high school and they start going into the workforce? Would that translate into humans and adults that really won't try to create that division in class within our region? And with that for students, for their next generation of students, would that translate over? That's really my question there, and I would really like to see what would happen. So um does the article align with my experiences in education? Most definitely. So the ideas do align with my experiences as an educator. So even us as educators, I remember when I was a teacher and a coach, we tend to treat community members according to their education and socioeconomic status. Whenever we address parents, whenever we address the community members, if they have some type of power within the region, or their socioeconomic status is higher, that usually translates into they're more educated than others. So we tend to treat them with a little more respect, differently than those families, those people that come from a lower socioeconomic background. And I'm not sure if that's inevitable, but that is the truth, and that is what happens in our community. And also, more than anything, as a teacher, I recall when speaking with my colleagues and principals and all educators within our campus. So the student expectations, the student expectations were also changing based on their class. So the student came from a lower socioeconomic status, a lower socioeconomic background. We had a automatically there was a lower expectation on place for the student, because they have no foundation that was brought from home, and that is this common misconception, this common notion that is completely incorrect. So we're almost limiting ourselves as educators, we're limiting our students to our own bias. And those students that come from more affluent families, then those students, now there's a higher expectation for them. Those are usually the GT kids that are labeled as GT. So we have higher expectations for them. So we increase rigor in their education. Whereas with the other students, the rigor is it's not so rigorous for them, because we don't think they can do it because of their socioeconomic status. And that is completely incorrect, but that is the nature of how educators think and practice nowadays. So educators are convinced, if there's research that shows that students with a higher socioeconomic status would tend to do better in education and would probably be more successful in schools. So I would like to challenge those notions and those ideas. So educators, unfortunately, we're convinced that socioeconomic class is the main indicator of student quality and success in the future. So it is going to require a lot of work to change that notion, but I do want to challenge that. I want to change, and I want to practice changes to where students from lower socioeconomic backgrounds and lower class can be challenged as much as the students with a better socioeconomic background. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. Again, my name is Jorge Castilleja.